welcome to our latest episode of Pivot Talk, hosted by Known Live, and we're happy to have you here with our first attempt at having a panel discussion, and we're very excited about that. And we would also like to remind you that this is live. It's live on Facebook, it's live on YouTube, and we also have replay available. So you may be watching this later, and we welcome you whether you are live or whether you're on replay. We're very excited to have you. And first, I'd like to start by introducing our co-host with me today, Juan Salas-Romer, and he will be helping with the interview and helping with the group that we have today. So Juan, welcome. I think you may be muted.
Go back again. All right. Excited to be here.
Great. Well, excited about today's show, and so today we're going to actually, if you could share with us a little bit of your history with where Pivot Talk came from and how it has become part of the Known Live programming, that would be a great start.
Sure, Bob. Well, I think you convinced me, and I guess Rick and you convinced me. You were doing the known co-working, or the genesis of known co-working in downtown New Haven back in October. And we had to close the doors in March. We were just getting momentum. One of the things that we all thought about is how do we pivot? How do we adapt to changes in the market? Usually the changes in the market are the financial sector or the depression, but this was uncharted territory for all of us. So why don't we start reaching out to businesses that are working here at the co-working space and continue to foster that community that we were fostering and learning. It was more of a journey about learning in this process. So that started the whole project. And since then, we've done about 6 programs already, something like that. So we talked about the future of their office spaces. We talked about the maker spaces, and the future of maker spaces. We talked about escape rooms. We talked about the future of architecture. Pretty soon we're going to have the future of restaurants, where the business will be, and everything is localized in New Haven, but there are business cases that could be presented nationwide. And that's why it's so rich. So we feel very excited today to have the wellness sector, which is one of the sectors that's been dramatically impacted during COVID-19. And for some of the business owners have been actually affected. So we're going to know more.
Great, thank you. And I'd like to now introduce our panel. We have 3 panelists today. We have Marissa Gandelman from Elm City Wellness. We have Shana Schneider from Fitstyle by Shana, and we have Virginia Bressano. And Virginia is a solo entrepreneur here in New Haven. And so I'd like to bring the 3 of you on. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
And I'd like to start by just sharing, having each of you share a little bit about what your business is, so that the viewers know who we're talking to. So, Marissa, if you could start us out.
Sure. My name is Marissa Gandelman. I own Elm City Wellness here in New Haven. Our 2 offices are actually in East Rock, and I'm sitting in our second newest location right now that we just opened last month. So we offer massage, acupuncture, and when the state allows, we'll be going back to our organic skincare. So everything we do is community-based. Everything is about taking care of the community, and New Haven's our community. So that's what we do.
Great. Thank you. Shana?
Sure. So I help people find time for fitness in their everyday life. And I do that through the Fitstyle Your Life approach that I actually created a handful of years ago now. And I also provide workshops, online, live stream classes. We'll be talking about those, of course, I think, as well as working with individuals and companies to really create that kind of fitness environment, culture of fitness. So, helping people get over that biggest hurdle of wondering where the time is for fitness.
Sure, that can be. It sounds like a great challenge that a lot of us could use help with. Virginia, Tell us what you're up to.
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Virginia, and over the past years I've been shifting from a corporate career in marketing and sales, and now my mission is to help women entrepreneurs in wellness to actually grow their business, thrive, and do it in a sustainable way. So I also teach meditation, yoga, so I incorporate those self-care practice in order to help women grow, again, in a sustainable way and taking care of ourselves, especially now I feel we all need it more than ever.
Great, thank you. And as I mentioned or referenced earlier, this is our first show where we've had a panel of guests, and so we're excited to use that format and get a rich cross section of a very important market segment here in the New Haven area. As a little bit of a review, we've started this with a survive and thrive pivot sort of look, and we really are looking for a format where people are addressing the challenges. 2020 has been a very challenging year for all of us, and finding the challenges that are out there, they're not that difficult to find. They're all around us, and they affect all of us in different ways. So we want to really look at outlining those and understanding what challenges are in front of us, and then identifying what actions we can take and how those actions might be valuable to our client base, our ideal clients, and how it may help us even grow in the future. So that's the general framework that we've been able to use, and it's been successful and really exciting finding businesses that are able to come through challenging times and come out even stronger on the backside of things. So that's the framework we're using, and that's what we're looking to go into today. So I'd like to start with asking Marissa. So the lockdown back in March, there were a lot of effects to a lot of businesses, but what were the key things that happened to you, and what the effects for you and your team when suddenly we're in a situation where a lot of the services you offer are difficult or not even possible to provide for clients?
Well, March was an interesting month for everybody. We all kind of went through this shock period of no, this can't be happening, and then the reality of knowing that this was going to be our reality right now. This was what was going to be happening. Closing down, there were no services we could offer, none, to keep our business open. But that pretty much goes for just about everybody. We scrambled, but we also kind of went with the flow of how this was happening. There wasn't much we could do. It was out of our control. So we got to exercise that practice of releasing control because we had no control. It meant, though, that we needed to keep our community tight. It meant that we had to start with our staff to keep them as a part of our in the loop of everything that was going on. And by keeping our staff, which is about 30 people, in the loop, connected through Zoom meetings, I mean, we would literally cry seeing each other's faces. We missed each other so much. But keeping everybody abreast of what we were doing, I kept my administrative team going, myself and 2 other people, so that we could keep our staff in the loop, connected. And then we branched into reaching out to the community and starting to build a social media group based on that once we got our staff connected. So it was all happening, I think, very quickly, but within a few days, we got ourselves online to just stay connected. We couldn't offer services. We still can't. We still couldn't up until just about 2 months ago, and we didn't even open right away. So we wanted to make sure that our client base was still there, because our client base is the community. It's the East Rock, New Haven community. So we started an online social group called Your Elm City Wellness Community on Facebook. It was one of the Facebook groups. I'd never really ventured into running and managing Facebook groups before. We just kept an editorial calendar for social media. So this required a lot more engagement with our community. And as a result, when we reopened about 5 weeks ago, actually it was 5 or 6 weeks ago today, we had an audience. We had an audience ready to come back to us. They watched how we prepared. They watched how we got ourselves ready to invite them back into Elm City Wellness and to the new Elm City Wellness, the second one. And they were comfortable coming back once they got to see through social media everything that we were putting together to be safe, all of the protocols, everything that we're doing. And I felt like we were able to take them along for the journey of getting back up and running. And it really connected us in a different way, both the staff and our clients. So it was wonderful.
Great, thank you. We got one with. I'll jump in here. So Shana, it's a little different with classes online, right? So you're not restricted by some of the physical location situations. But what challenges did you see in the shift that happened back in March, April?
Sure. So a number of my classes were actually all in person prior to the pandemic.
Okay.
So I had a whole calendar of in-person workshops, classes, offices were ready to invite me in, and suddenly everything shut down. And so while I kind of had a vision for where I was going to be bringing things online, I wasn't quite there yet. But the pandemic basically said, all right, let's just speed things up. And so where you said, when we're talking about kind of a pivot, while this was sort of in my mind as something I wanted to do more of, this just made me do it a lot faster and learn in the moment. So instead of having all of those workshops canceled or postponed indefinitely, I said, you know what, I'm ready. Let's do them online and let's figure out how to engage people that way. Because the message that I'm sharing about bringing this kind of exercise and movement into your everyday life is so essential right now. So I felt that not only for the business, but fundamentally for what the mission is of the company, it meant, okay, let's figure out how to work with the environment as it is.
Yeah, and so how does that work from a changing how you are going to attract people and get new folks to take your classes?
Sure. So, you still rely on a lot of the things that we had before. So it is word of mouth. It is a lot of social media. It is reaching out to individuals. There's still networking that goes on, but a lot of it is online. And I think I'm really seeing it through this kind of word of mouth and reaching out to companies, because what I am finding is that everybody is seeking out some kind of connection still, right? This idea of wellness, and maybe we can talk about this now a little bit, is that prior to the pandemic, I think it was a lot of nice to have, and people are finding more and more that it's a need to have. This idea of talking about wellness or self-care, where it seemed like a little soft, maybe like that's for other people. Oh, everybody is recognizing now that it is absolutely essential if we want to keep moving forward, doing the work that we need to, showing up, at our jobs different in all these different ways. So much of, if you're on Zoom 24/7 or just in front of that screen, self-care is going to be essential. And it is not a dirty word. It is one that we all need to be talking about.
Hey, Bob, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Yeah, sorry about that. All kinds of glitches today. Oh, first off, I know Shana. She's a member of Known. Probably since October, we actually had a class in one of our conference rooms. So the first question to you is, am I standing okay?
I should have started with a posture check. That's what I always like to do, right? Shoulders down and back. We can all look at that. Nice deep breath in gives us that energy. So you're looking great, Juan. I appreciate that. Yes.
Thank you so much. Hey, my question is more about the pricing of your product. And how has this impacted your ability to price the same way you were pricing in the physical space? Mm-hmm. Has that changed at all? Are people feeling the same value proposition?
So I had a bit of a transition. So when I thought that I was just going to be doing these classes kind of online for a week or two, couple weeks, it was like, okay, it's a pay what you can, hopefully we'll, go back to something else. Now I'm really finding that, first of all, it takes just as much work to be teaching online as it is in person. So really that idea of paying for something needs to remain there regardless. So what I find is that it's important for all of us to keep the idea that just because it is online doesn't mean it should be free, right? We've seen this with I think in journalism, you've seen it in different ways, and you see it a lot still now, where you have larger companies that are sponsoring different fitness classes and making them all available online. So it's really important that people recognize that fitness still needs to be paid for. These kinds of services need to be paid for. It's not free. It supports, jobs. It supports all of these individuals. It supports your community. So for me, I had this transition from saying, okay, let's just put it out there, see how it goes, and anybody, just come on in, pay what you can, while I still try to make sure that my services are accessible to everyone. I am very solid about the idea that, you still need to pay for services. So it's really important that we recognize that in all the different aspects of wellness.
And I love how you tie in when you do your classes, and you always find a beneficiary, a certain percentage of the pricing in some of the nonprofits in New Haven. I thought that was a really great idea to bring the community together. So kudos for that.
Yeah. And, one of the pivots that I'm looking at too is not only just kind of choosing a different nonprofit each time, but actually seeing how the structure of my business can actually take a percentage and provide my services to different audiences that actually can't afford it. So some of the underserved audiences and communities that can really benefit from being able to use kind of the Fitstyle principles and have these classes and have the mindful motivations. I think that's going to be kind of long-term for me in a lot of ways. And I know, we're all kind of looking at how do you engage your communities. And I know Marissa and Virginia were both doing a lot of that.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Virginia, so it's like to hear a little bit from you. Some businesses in this situation will pivot. Some businesses will choose not to. Will decide it's not worth it. And I think you've had an experience with sort of both sides of that, where you were involved with a business that decided not to. However, you yourself personally have done some exciting things. So wondering if you'd share a little of that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to last year, actually, I was helping a friend of mine. She had this incredible vision of bringing meditation and yoga to in Shelton, Connecticut, so not far from New Haven. And so again, I was shifting from a corporate career, so I decided, okay, well, this is a great opportunity to merge my two interests, right? Meditation, self-care, yoga, and business. So I helped my friend of mine opening this yoga meditation studio, and it did very well from the beginning. We opened last November, so it's not that long ago. And we were able to build up really like a nice connection with the local community right away. So it was incredible to see how it worked well from the beginning. However, when the COVID hit, it was March, so we decided to close right away, and for what we thought was a few days, a few weeks, let's say, break. And, our worst nightmare when we were launching was having to close for 3 days for a snowstorm. Because, for a new business, that's, of course, you need to keep open, build. And so when we realized that it wasn't just a few weeks, that the social distancing would have taken a lot more time, we had to take into consideration a lot of the business parts, a lot of the strategy decisions, and we figured that it was actually not sustainable for a new business because, again, we couldn't really rely on a big base of loyal customers and revenue coming in. And so unfortunately, we had to decide after only a few months of being open that the best solution was actually to close. So that's what we did. It basically, I would say in June, end of May, we realized that, again, because of the space, you need to, of course, consider all the security, health concerns. And so we had to pivot. And so we decided to close. Yeah. But I was so impressed by Marissa, who was actually able to open the second location. So that's great.
So then what decisions did you make at that time? We're looking at that, right? That's probably a second big shift. You said coming out of a corporate environment into working with a friend of yours. Now suddenly that business is no longer. So what were your thoughts, and how did you decide what to do next?
Yeah, and I really relate with what Marissa said at the beginning, this idea of sometimes you need to let go. Sometimes we're so attached to all our efforts and actions we take, but sometimes you need to realize that it's just not gonna work. And it took me quite some time, of course, after putting all our energies and efforts for a year, and then all of a sudden after a few months of being open, you just see everything vanished. And but again, from you have to really work on yourself, your mindset, your self-care, and prepare yourself. I was in denial for quite a long time. I'll admit it. I was like, no, this is not possible. We can't. This is just temporary. But then again, by discussing it with the owner, with Laura, we had to decide. And so then I decided it was time for me to pivot as well. And I decided to embrace this change. In a way, I've always liked change. I'm not moving to different places, doing different things. And I decided that it was time for me to keep helping, especially women entrepreneurs. That's what I'm really passionate about, because I saw what we were able to do in just a few months, right? Less than a year. We were able to actually build something that did really well in the community for a little time, for a short period of time. And so I pivot also online, and that's when actually new opportunities come in. So I always believe that we need to be open for new opportunities. And as we say, when one door closes, then another one will open. And so that's what I'm doing at the moment, embracing change.
Great, thanks.
There's great learning on failure, and you had a lot of courage to do what you did. So I commend you for that.
Absolutely, and it's something that I've learned in the past years. Anything you do will always be useful. So it doesn't matter what you learn, what you do, you shift, you change, but then it's always all the experiences. It's great. So definitely learning.
And speaking of courage, Marissa, let me ask you about opening a second location in the middle of this pandemic. How is it going? What are the changes that you've been making? First to open up, because you opened like 2 months ago, you said, right?
5 weeks ago. Yeah.
Right, and 2 locations now.
Yeah.
So give us an idea of that process. No stress.
Well, so you probably can even see like a little bit of bruising on here, because this is actually when Elm City Wellness reopened, the first thing I did was I got on tables immediately. So I started twice weekly acupuncture, community acupuncture again, which had been 4 or 5 months of no acupuncture. I started getting on the tables of my therapists to reconnect with them, and we made sure that our therapists were reconnecting with each other and getting on each other's tables as they were practicing all of the new protocols.
So are you promoting acupuncture by showing your arm?
Totally. Because I was like, okay, this is not going to look really good, but I need to show people that honestly, when you've gone that long without wellness, there's what we're doing at home. There's a lot of self-care involved, but when you get back into the swing of things, for me, listen, there's a certain amount of resilience that business owners have. If you're an entrepreneur, you're generally more resilient, I think, than a lot of others. It's kind of one of the things that I love connecting with, especially these 2 women who we connect with all the time. I mean, like we have our own, like we do business. We did a practice run with you, Bob, about a few weeks ago. Your video cut out, and the 3 of us stayed on and did business, because that's how we work. And
it's like Shark Tank. It's like Shark Tank, Bob.
Kind of, with fewer, I won't swear online, but with fewer, unpleasant people. Yes. So we like me going back and doing this work. This is actually something called gua sha. This isn't acupuncture. This is my acupuncturist saying, listen, there's a lot going on, because I spent, and I'm really honest about it, I spent many months living like this, like living in the fetal position every time I was in bed, every time, because this is hard. No matter how resilient an entrepreneur is, no one can work with this without having a battle of anxiety and like rationale and understanding and then letting go to do it. So the body work, immediately jumping back into when we reopened, the work that I trust so much was a huge part of literally taking this fear-based, no matter how we look at it, it's still a little, it's fearful to be out here right now as a business owner, to jump back into what I trust, to jump back into the passion of the work. Like, I built this for a reason. I trust in it. The people that work with me are humbling to work with on a daily basis. So that pivot, literally to jump back in, was actually harder for me than just about everything else we did leading up to opening. We have been, our level of PPE, everything that we have done to prepare to welcome people back was just, for me, natural. It was what we had to do to be open. So it didn't feel too uncomfortable. Having a second location was a little tricky with that. We never had a second location before. So we were jumping into a new thing to begin with amidst all of this. But I'm sure, as Virginia and Shana will tell you, we do like change. We like challenge. We like to play with it because, honestly, it gets really boring for us as entrepreneurs if we don't have things lit under our butt to move. So that's what we do. We kind of take the lighter and we light it ourselves. And this was basically just the universe lighting it for us. And that was fine. So we adjust. As the leader of, the business, in a sense, you have to lead by example. So you need to take care of yourself. You need to be able to hold space for your staff so that they could hold space for the community to come back. And I have to say, as scary as it still is, because I had 2 businesses open in a pandemic, we're doing well. We're doing okay. We freak out every now and then, but we had set ourselves up, as a business should, with the right kind of financial support. And we struggled to get it. Women-owned businesses are still not necessarily given that level of financial support unless you have established relationships, or so I found. And so I'm grateful for those. That's what we do. We establish relationships, we build community. And when this craziness hit, we were supported in a way that maybe a year ago we wouldn't have been. So things line up the way they do. And we're pretty grateful for it. So the pivot wasn't so hard.
Well, Marissa, I can tell you, the first time we meet, but you are showing your passion like crazy in this, in this program, and that a lot of people. So I really congratulate you for all the effort that you put on, and best of luck. I think that if you're able to remain in business and continue to foster that community, you gain, what they say, first mover advantage. You are going to be there in the market. The market returns back. You're going to be stronger, and so it's great what you're doing, and also teaching others like you that going through this process. What were the tricks? Because there's a lot of mistakes that we all make throughout the process. But then, what are the lessons learned? You could write a book.
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing that you do is you continue giving back. You don't ever stop that. So we always give back anyway. We give free sessions to Iris and Love 146, who are local nonprofit organizations here in New Haven. But we are also, we make sure that the other wellness providers and healers in the community can come to Elm City Wellness to take care of themselves so that they can go out and take care of the community, and we find any way that we can to help get them here to do that. So long as we can keep that strong, that ripple effect will continue on.
That's awesome.
And I'll just add in, I think as you mentioned, Juan, Marissa's passion definitely comes through. And I think that's what drives all of us. It's having that passion and that vision, because when you're looking at pivots, and when you're looking at these kind of current situations, when you need to look at them in the reality that they are, and they can sometimes look very dire, and you have to make hard decisions. And so the question is, how do what's going to get you to take that next step? And that's going to be that passion, holding on to that vision. So, those are really fundamental things. And then I think what you'll also see here is having a network of people to tap into when, the passion and the vision is real, but there are times when you have to let yourself kind of just go, because that's how you feel. You're like, I have it in me, but I need some help. And I think, I do think sometimes that really does differentiate a lot of female entrepreneurs, is that we don't actually mind saying that, admitting that we need help, and we reach out to other people to do that, and they're there, and especially other women. I think that the networks that we have really created, not only in New Haven, but in other places around, Connecticut as well. With Marissa, and Virginia has come to our events. We have this CT New event, Network for Entrepreneurial Women, but there are a number of different groups. Another one, coalition of minority women in business, that I'm also a part of. And all of these, I think, help bolster you, especially when you're in the midst of pivoting and trying to push through and build a business, because it's, I'm not sure that it's ever really easy. I think maybe there are little blips along the way where you're like, oh, right, something really went well. But then you're already on to the next thing, because that's what you have to do. Is you're continually growing. But it's, I think it's worth it when you find that thing that really drives you.
So with those changes, Shana, what kind of feedback? What is the market feedback been with how you're going to market now versus how you were going to market a few months ago?
Sure. Well, I think there is no going back from being online. I think that it's really all about both having both in-person and online ways of providing your services, especially in kind of the wellness area and the types of things that I provide. I think that there is still very much something to be said for being together in groups and having the actual hands-on touch aspect of some of the services, especially that, massage therapists and that you can get at like Elm City Wellness, but also the excitement of group fitness classes and things like that. But for me in particular, because of what I'm looking at, which is about, helping people create also habit formation around fitness, so much of what I can do is going to be online. I think it's also that, whether or not people can actually access in-person locations, it could be for a whole host of different reasons now that they can or can't get to those locations. So for me, being able to provide my services, I think, even more so online and making it that much easier for people to access is really going to be my focus. And one of the areas that, I'm growing is something around what I call mindful motivations. This is a whole text messaging program that really does help with building these kind of fitness habits, associating exercising and movements with routine activities that you have. And I think that, when you do look at the fitness landscape, the types of people who are offering different services in that way, I think you have to get more and more comfortable with technology. And that's also, I think, related to checking in, just the whole process of communicating with people. There's going to be a lot of, I think, leaning on technology.
Sure.
To ask Virginia now, because Virginia, one of the things that you said was how you have changed your your service and widen your scope. It's my understanding that you have an international experience as well. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's been really interesting and totally unexpected in a way. I'm originally from Italy, and I've been away for now 9 years, and I've never considered the idea of working with the Italian market, the Italian public. And it was interesting how this, when we were all faced, with these changes and doing things differently, I realized how actually by doing things online, I was able to reach people who are not necessarily in the community or the local community, because now it's online, so you don't have to be physically in one place. And so what happened is that little by little, I started to interact more and more with people in Italy. First, the people I knew, and then I started to teach yoga, meditation, because again, for me, it was essential. I benefited from meditation myself, both in business and in my personal life. And so for me, it was really important to be able to support more people in this transition and this difficult time. And little by little, it started to be organic. So I started to teach a few classes, and now I find myself actually working mostly with the Italian market. So it's been super interesting. And not only by teaching, but also now helping women entrepreneurs in Italy. So it's been really, really interesting. And I'm actually, in a way, really glad and really happy that I can maybe go back in a way and give back what I've learned over the years, and now help, women in Italy, which I think they also could benefit from this, and really going online. Also, I believe that this COVID has accelerated a lot of the processes. So for example, Italy was not necessarily super advanced in anything online, like payments online, or people were still reluctant to do a lot of these things. And now they were forced to do it. There was no other option. And that actually escalated and really accelerated a lot of the process that otherwise would have taken, I think, a lot longer. And so, yeah, it's been really interesting. And I'm actually looking forward to be able to expand my impact and and help more and more people, even in Italy, even if it's 6 hours ahead and far away from here. So yeah.
Excellent.
Great.
So you can see that it's not only about the local community, but also it allows you to do international as well as you go online, which is one of the benefits. So it's good.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes we don't realize how. Again, I'm a huge fan of looking at the bright side and all the positive that we can come up with among even the difficult times. And so, if going online means you can reach people outside of your regular reach, then it's great. And why not actually taking advantage of that?
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Great. Well, we have a question from a viewer, actually specifically for Shana, asking if you are still doing your walking tours.
That is a good question. So I am actually in the process of figuring out what is the best, safest way to bring those back, given the number of people. And of course, I also like to share fun facts along the way. So figuring out, is that going to be pre-recorded fun facts or using an iPad? So stay tuned is what I would say. And definitely encourage everyone to still get out and walk. So even if you're not on a walking tour with me, it's still important that you get outside, you get those walks in, get those steps in, but because every step counts.
Great, thank you. So at this point, I'd like to sort of open up our conversation here and see what we think out of what we've heard. Right, 3 very different business situations, but a lot of common threads, and we'd like to hear from any of Marissa, Virginia, and Shana. What do you see as common threads that go through these conversations and these experiences that you've had this year?
Well, I could say that the common thread for most of us is that we all know each other. We all made it as entrepreneurs in a specific industry, in a sphere of work that we when we closed down, like, I mean, Shana was one of the first people I think I was in communication with, and like, reaching out to other wellness people in New Haven as well. Like, our connections are strong here, and we've done a really good job of that. We do it intentionally. I mean, it's not that we don't. It's not that men aren't allowed, but like, honestly, the strength of women connecting together is something that I work with. That's actually something that I seek out because I find it effective. I find it to be the best way for business to thrive, because we. I don't know. I'm going to go back to that word of resilience again. We have that. I'm so proud to connect and to know a lot of women business owners in New Haven, let alone Connecticut, that I can actually connect with, count on, and brainstorm with. Entrepreneurs are creatives. Like, we need space to have that creativity completely. We need to, as I say to my staff, we like to throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And we have to throw a lot of spaghetti, and Virginia will appreciate that. We have to throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall to see what's going to stick. And then we need the feedback for that. We need to connect. And for me, because I actually have a lot of staff, we live in our staff bubble of, like, we think Elm City Wellness, everybody's heard of us, everybody knows us, right? No, that's not the case at all. Like, we step out of that bubble, especially me, and I connect with people like Shana and Virginia and various other entrepreneurs here, and realize that there's more to see. And I think we all do that. I think in some way, when we step out of our bubble and connect with open other bubbles, I don't know. I like using the word bubble now, especially times. I usually didn't. I didn't do that before. But when we step out, we get to see a lot of similarities, as well as the things that, like, maybe that we didn't see, that they can see for us. They give us ideas. They give us inspiration. They give us motivation. It's and they remind us of all the things. Like, it's nice to be reminded, as much as I meditate, that I need to meditate. It's nice to be reminded. Did you go for a walk today? I'll get a text every now and then. Shana, you should probably start doing that for me as the weather gets cooler. But like, those reminders from this community, this network of really passionate entrepreneurs, their passion is equal to mine, if not greater. So I feel comfortable working with them, and I feel safer growing in this new environment because I have their support. So that's what I feel like we all connect with. We all like about each other.
Yeah. And so
the networking events have been really, really incredible. And it's totally true, because sometimes we feel like we're alone and we're the only one having all of these issues and things not working, and actually being able to share and meet with, women, strong women in the same environment, with the same, going through the same struggles. It really helps in helping each other out. So I totally agree. And for me, it was very, very important to have this community. Yeah,
I would say, it's that community that we're hearing, and still technology, I would go back to, because, it's especially at this time where it's for our businesses. I would say it is the communication that we have with each other, but also with our clients. I think the ability to even create that community, because going back to the Facebook group that Marissa had created, that really helped to establish an even greater community when you can't be there in person. And one doesn't have to replace the other. I think that's the other piece that we're recognizing. I think it's important that actually we have both of them, that in-person piece and that technology piece. But the more we can get comfortable with technology and see how we can use it to our advantage, I think the better. And I think we're seeing that when we look at all of our different businesses and how we're relying on it in different ways, even if, where a lot of my services can actually be provided solely online and through technology. We're seeing how all these different businesses have some aspect of it. And actually, I'll do a little plug too, because Marissa has Elm City Wellness has a great store online as well.
We do. We figured that out. I forgot all about that, really.
So, you know, it was,
some money.
there's like, pivots, galore, where it's that and there's product, there's the services. So technology, it opens up the doors for a lot of different things. And so we got to get a little more comfortable with it.
Okay, speaking of community, I wouldn't mind opening a community in Amalfi Coast in Italy, by the way. I wouldn't mind.
I'm in.
I know, right? I was there in February. I came back right on time, and I was right in the Amalfi Coast, and I was like, why did they leave again?
Because there's a lot of connection with New Haven and Amalfi Coast. I'm sure you know that.
Yes.
One last question. Is 2021, COVID is over, where do you see your business?
Well, I will take that one first. So Fitstyle has gone absolutely national, maybe international. Everybody is part of the Fitstyle Your Life movement, finding time for fitness in our everyday life, because so basically I want everyone to start saying like, oh, that's so fit stylish. Because that kind of energy, that ability to bring fitness into your everyday gives people the opportunity to, I think, be healthier and well and fill the roles that they have built in their communities, in their jobs, and in their homes.
Great. Anybody else?
Well, I mean, I don't know what 2021 is going to bring. I'm not allowed to open a third location yet, so so I think we're focusing on these people. Like right now, we need staff. We're still hiring more massage therapists because we have a second location. So I'll put it out like a little plug of anybody who knows any other licensed massage therapists who are looking to work in a place that is community-based. This is the place. And as we grow our therapists, as we bring in more acupuncturists, and as the state, if we're done with COVID, opens up the skincare, our business is going to stay growing and anchoring the community. That's what we do. And I just had a fun little coffee right before this with Margot Boone, who's the owner of Breathing Room Yoga. And I'm not allowed to open a space yet in Breathing Room because we have a second one, but like those are the ideas. These are the things. Like we're just continuing to move forward. We work. We love what we do. We're going to continue doing the things that have been making us stronger during this time. Our resilience is literally through the roof. Like if we can get through this, then honestly, we're going to lead as mentors and guides for other entrepreneurs, especially women, who need to make it through this time. And I'm cool with that. Very cool.
That's great.
Yeah, I totally embrace all of what Marissa said, because I think that a lot of us may be thinking that this is a difficult time, we should not do anything new, we should not try. But actually, I encourage, especially again, women entrepreneurs, to trust their instinct and to actually dare to do something for themselves and to be courageous. Yeah, I think it's,
and we'll be there to help.
Yeah. Yes.
Great. Well, this was awesome. I really enjoyed having such a full breadth of experiences and stories to tell today. So I want to thank Marissa, thank Shana, and thank Virginia for joining us today. I'd like to thank our audience, and also in the background, when people didn't see, but thank Rick Callahan for keeping all of this stuff moving and keeping us organized and making sure that the show comes off like this. I would also like to suggest that the people take time to check out the known website, the known social content that's here on the screen now, where you can see that we have a variety of shows in addition to Pivot Talk, and the Juan referenced that we have a show coming up in a couple of weeks on featuring a local restaurant. We also have the show Known Live, and we have the show Digital Media Sync. All great shows with great information of things that are going on here locally. So again, thanks to everyone, and have a great day, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.